There is currently a privacy battle brewing between two of the world's largest tech giants, Apple and Facebook. In a situation that could turn ugly if care is not taken, what we are witnessing currently is an online privacy battle that can best be described as a battle between good and evil.
Getting the immigration system working for America.
In this video, we will give you all the juicy details that have led to a big war that could assume a legal dimension between Apple and Facebook, and what this battle of wits means to you, the final user. There has been a privacy battle for some time between Apple and Facebook that has degenerated into a situation of the CEOs of both companies taking thinly veiled shots at each other. As it stands now, folks, the gloves are off, and there is no longer any room for pretense that all is well between both companies. Now we know that all is not well. Only recently, Apple CEO launched a stunning attack on Facebook during a speech he gave to the Computers, Privacy and Data Protection Conference. At the conference, Tim Cook said, and I quote, "We can no longer turn a blind eye to a theory of technology that says all engagement is good engagement. A company like that does not deserve our praise, it deserves reform." In this speech, the Apple CEO was referencing Facebook's user data policy that forces users to accept their data being used or forfeit the use of their platform altogether. Many have said that the Apple CEO was talking about Facebook, but then there are others who believe that he wasn't referring to Facebook alone, but other apps as well.
I spoke in Brussels about the emergence of a data industrial complex.
However, this second argument does not hold much water in light of the privacy battle Facebook has been enmeshed in since the start of the new year. Let's examine in detail what really happened. What prompted the CEO of Apple to come down hard on Facebook like that? Facebook User Data Policy. Towards the end of 2020, Facebook released a publication stating that WhatsApp, another platform owned by Facebook, will be integrated into Facebook's platform, but that wasn't the issue. The big problem was that WhatsApp users had to accept the company's privacy policy, which allows it to use your personal information for marketing purposes. Now, just in case you don't know, if you are still using WhatsApp as you watch this video, it means you have accepted Facebook's user sharing policy because the company shuts down accounts that did not subscribe to this policy. With this policy active on your account, this allows Facebook to share your personal information with third parties, which are primarily businesses that buy such data for marketing. Apple's argument. Apple's argument is straightforward and is by far the most popular one today. The whole issue with Facebook spilled over when Apple released a new Privacy Day blog post. In this post, Apple explained its plans to provide users with tracking notifications to let them know apps that are tracking their profile. The tech giant will also provide users with the ability to turn off the tracking and data sharing capabilities of these apps.
The challenge for our generation is to create a world where everyone has a sense of purpose.
In this case, Facebook is the biggest culprit, and Mark Zuckerberg's company is not happy about it. Apple argues that Facebook and other apps operating the same policy collect a large trove of your personal data, which it uses to invade, monitor, and manipulate people's lives for profit. This, in Apple's opinion, can no longer be condoned, therefore it should be stopped. And that is what their new privacy policy is going to achieve: to empower users to take more control over their online activities and what can be used online by app companies. Facebook argument. The top brass at Facebook did not take kindly to this new policy by Apple, and there is a rumor circulating currently that Facebook is flirting with the idea of filing an antitrust lawsuit against Apple. During a call with shareholders, Mark Zuckerberg was quoted to have said during the call that Apple had every incentive to use their dominant platform position to interfere with how our apps and other apps works, which they regularly do to preference their own. Facebook believes that Apple sets rules they are arbitrary for developers and app companies, and they enforce these rules haphazardly, meaning that they do not require their own Apple apps to follow the same rules. What this means in black and white is that Apple does not care about your privacy. All they care about is making as much money from Facebook and other widely used apps they do not own. That is Facebook opinion, not ours. The base argument Facebook is putting forward is that its business model hinges on the selling of user data to businesses to stay afloat, and that Apple's new privacy policy is discriminatory and will rob them of that right. The moral argument for both. Analysts in the tech industry, as well as observers, are stunned by what is currently playing before our eyes. Rarely do you see two mega companies going head-to-head, especially if they are not in competition with each other and do not offer the same product or service. A battle of wits between Apple and Samsung, another smartphone maker, is understandable, but Facebook, that's a whole new deal. Supporters for Apple argue that the smartphone company is standing up for the right of online users and protecting them from dishonest practices of Facebook. While the number of people in this camp are more in number, there is a counter-argument shared by others who believe that Facebook has every right to operate a policy that guarantees success and stability. They argue that no one is forced to use their platform, so any user who does not feel comfortable with their service policy can do the easiest thing in the world.
I'm not sure whether there was a conversation about that, but I can tell you the thought process at the time.
Delete their apps from their phone. But Facebook defenders, however valid their arguments may be, are in the minority. Also, deleting their apps from your phone does not mean much, as Facebook has other affiliated sites you may be using which can still draw out your online data. With over 2 billion people using Facebook worldwide, this places so much power and influence in the hands of Mr. Zuckerberg and a few, which opens up the debate about online safety and how much influence Silicon Valley companies have over people's lives. The WhatsApp debacle. When Facebook announced their WhatsApp privacy policy, it caused outrage amongst users, leading to many opting for other social media platforms like Telegram and Signal and deleting WhatsApp from their phones. This new policy comes with features that allow WhatsApp to interact with businesses similar to what is obtainable on Facebook. Messages and interactions between users on WhatsApp can also be collated and shared on Facebook. This new policy allows Facebook to share your chats and personal information with businesses in need of marketing data. Although Facebook argues that WhatsApp chats will still be encrypted so they can't be accessed by companies they sell the data to, many still did not believe them. In fact, the backlash they received was so significant, they decided to delay implementation till the 15th of May. After 15th of May, stubborn users who still refuse to accept the policy change will lose access to their accounts. How this new policy by Apple will affect you. This policy will have different impact on different online users. If you don't search for goods and service online very often, you will hardly notice the change. On the other hand, if you do a lot of goods and service searches on your Facebook, opting out of Facebook tracking will bring up less relevant results when you search. Users who update their Apple iOS will see a message pop up notifying them of apps that are currently tracking their user data. The update will also equip them with the resources to block them out. The impact this will have on Facebook. The impact this will have on Facebook cannot be evaluated by anyone save the executives and software developers at Facebook. But from the backlash from Facebook, we suspect that the impact will be huge. Facebook currently earns a significant chunk of its $86 billion annual revenue from targeted ads. For months, Facebook has been waging war on Apple over newspaper tabloids and online blogs. The company has also encouraged users to use their pop-up tracking services. Some analysts argue that Facebook will still remain profitable despite the changes initiated by Apple. Tim Cook, the Apple CEO, also argues that Facebook can still track user data, but the company will need the user's permission first. Facebook is not the only company complaining about the new policy.
When ATT is in full effect, users will have a say over this kind of tracking.
The CFO of Snapchat, Derek Anderson, told shareholders during an earnings call that the changes could interrupt the demand for advertising, but unlike Facebook, welcomed the changes. Twitter has also stated that the changes will have a modest impact on their earnings, but gave no details. While we continue to follow the story as it unfolds, from the look of things, regulations proposed by government bureaucrats are not the only issues Facebook will have to deal with in 2021 and beyond. These new changes by Apple will have a telling repercussion on their balance sheet, and the company will have to drop their policy altogether or come up with a new business strategy. But as it stands, in this battle of economic ideology, this is one fight Facebook is unlikely going to win. Thanks for watching our video, and make sure you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner so you get notified when we have a new video up. Cheers!